This morning I'm going to be talking about, the message will be centered around James 1:19. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And slow to listen. Yeah. You should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to anger. Yeah, I know you are. Yeah.
We heard you. Everything you said already.
Right.
Don't let us interrupt.
Right. Okay. So anyway, see how challenging it is? Okay. You're doing good, I think so. They made the point. Okay. Let's hear, that was a little skit team. That was done on purpose. Good job, guys. You got a lot of potential. Whew, it is hard talking.
Nothing but drama, guys.
Yeah. So for those of you that know me, it won't come as a surprise, but those of you that don't know me, I've got a big mouth. I got a gift of gab. I can talk. I'm a talker, and in addition to that, you might know I'm a talker, right, HB? We were talking yesterday morning. He said he'd go get a couple cups of coffee. He knows I'm talking. But I'm also a poor listener, because like Josh was saying, if you're talking, most of the time, I'm really not listening. I'm thinking of what I'm going to say. And so I'm going to share with you this morning what God's doing in my life to help me change. And I want to emphasize help me change, because I still have the problem of being a talker and not a real good listener, but I'm improving. On that continuum we talk about, I'm moving along. So I'm probably still in the negative territory, but I'm a lot better now than I was, and I got a long way to go. And then I'm going to share with you, some things that you can do to become a better listener, and then some of the benefits of listening. So, all my life, as I told you, I've been a talker. And every time I would read a truth or read something that I really thought was beneficial, I just raced out and told everybody. And it just, I guess I had a success ratio of about 0.1%, because it just didn't help. I'd give people the best advice I think they've ever been given, and it didn't help. And so I knew that I had a problem, and the only time I really recognized I had a problem is when I stuck my foot in my mouth. And I tell you, if you talk as much as I do, you're going to do that quite often. I mean, like on a daily basis. So every time I stick my foot in my mouth, I say, that's it. I'm tired of being the talker in the group, and but then I just revert back to the old way. So what I was trying to do during those times, I was trying to fix it myself, and it just never worked. And as we've talked about, I can tell you from experience, I'll be 60 this year. I know you guys don't believe that, but I'll be 60 this year. I can save you many, many years of experience, because if you do decide this morning that maybe you're more of a talker than a listener and you want to change that, if you're going to try to do it yourself, you might as well just do nothing, because nothing's going to happen. You're going to need some help in that area, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But just being around people that are talking and paying attention and things like that are really, really critical. So when I came to Christ, I decided, I thought, and this part of my story that I shared, I really thought when I stepped over that line that there was a light switch. All that baggage that I had would just fall away, and I'd go from being a talker to a listener and all that stuff. It didn't happen. Even when I started praying my prayers to Christ and so on, I did all the talking and went to Christ with an agenda, and it was just amazing. Now when I look back, it's just, I was still the same person with the gift of gab. It didn't go away. And so I started praying about that, and God started moving in my life and helping me to become a better listener. And I wish Woody was here, because the first person that really helped me move along that line after becoming a Christ follower was Woody. I used to hang out at the encounter group, and I don't know if you guys have been to the encounter groups on Tuesday, but if you haven't been there, I highly recommend it. It's a great place to get closer to God and to realize who Jesus is and what He expects from you, and Woody sharing with you the messages. But Woody, one time around the encounter group, and I can still see the table sitting there, and Woody walks up to the group, and he says, "Gary doing all the talking?" and just walked away. And I went like, wow. Yeah. And I was doing all the talk. I had the best advice for everybody at the table. I was fixing everybody's problems and all that stuff. And so I said, wow, I prayed about that, and the Lord, it just impressed on my heart that He was helping me. And so I was thankful that happened. Then I came here with the men's breakfast, and we got that started, and my brother Roger here stood at my table one morning, and for the first time. And after it was over with, I just asked him, what he thought. He said, wow. I said, Gary, you did all the talking. You talk way too much. You felt compelled to comment on everybody's situation, and you was jumping in trying to fix things. I was like, whoa, man, I hope he doesn't sit at my table anymore. Of course, but then I prayed about it. And God said, Gary, I'm using Roger to help you. And I went like, okay. So Roger would show up, sit at my table every time, and I got to tell you, it helped me, because I'm sitting here and I said, there's Roger. I better be quiet. I better listen. Even if I'm not listening, I'm going to act like I'm listening, because I know Roger is watching. So. And then, you know, that helped me move along that continuum. But I tell you, the real clincher was he invited me to go down to the Blue Ridge jail and help teach life skills class. And, you know, I used to teach, and I felt compelled, and I've always had a yearning and felt like I had a calling to help prisoners and things. And so I said, sure. I mean, I was honored to do it. So first night, Roger says, Gary, you don't need to teach. I'm going to do all the teaching. All you need to do is connect, love on the people, get to know them, and just listen to their hearts. So I go down there, and I got to tell you, it's one of the most rewarding times I ever had. And when I left there, when they locked the men back up, me and Roger Lee, I thought I had done the best job in the world. I mean, I rated myself A+. I mean, it couldn't have been better. I felt like I was perfect. So Roger, riding down the elevator, he let me know. I mean, he reamed me. He said, Gary, he said, you commented, you know, rather when people were talking, you jumped in with your comments, and it was all good stuff. You know, it's all things that would really help them. He said, you weren't listening to their hearts. And I went like, whoa, I don't need this. You know, maybe this ain't my calling. But then I prayed about that again. And so God has put people in my life, like Roger, like Woody, like my daughter. And even now, he's put people in my life that talk as much as me, if you can imagine that. There are some people in here, and I won't mention any names, that like to talk too, okay? And now when I'm around and everyone's talking, you know, someone's doing all the talking, I just sit there and smile if it's not me. Most of the time it's going to be me, though. But I got to tell you, I got to share with you, the other day I was around a group of people, we were talking, and one of the best things that could happen to me happened. I was sitting there, I wasn't down, I wasn't depressed, I was happy, I was really high on life. And the guy looked at me and says, what's wrong with you, Gary? I said, nothing. He said, you're not talking. I said, thank you, God. Thank you. So I got caught. I was really listening. I was really listening. Doesn't happen all the time. But in my life right now, what I'm trying to do is just assess when I'm talking too much. And a red light will come on. And again, I wish Woody was here, but sometimes I pull a Woody. You know, that red light comes on, but I run right through it anyway. But now when I'm doing a lot of talking, I'm at least aware of it. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do later on when we talk about how you can assess your talking skills and stuff. First thing, you have to become aware that you're dominating the conversation. And the last thing with me, I think that I've learned that when we do most of the talking, whether we are conscious of it or not, we're implying that what we have to say is more important than what the other person has to say. And so that's you know, that's difficult. I mean, it's really when we feel like that what we have to say, and then we're trying to help them, it just doesn't work. And believe me, for you younger guys, if you're going to try to fix it yourself, just give up on that. You need someone else to help you. Now with you know, I got to tell you, I've been around the tables here and been coming here, and I just really love this men's setting here, and I've heard so many good things about it. We got such a good reputation because you men come out this early in the morning, and I hear it all the time from the church and from folks that know us. It's just what a blessing this is. But it seems like the biggest problem that we have around the table when we start discussing our problems is a problem with our spouse. It comes up every time, and usually the majority of the people at the table are dealing with that. And I know from just looking around, that is a big problem with us. Now, I can't promise you that if you become a better listener, that it will fix your problem with your spouse, but I can promise you it will dramatically improve it, not only with your spouse, but with others and with God. So listening is really, really important. And I was just thinking, too, the essence, Jesus' two major commands was to love God and to love others. It was all about love. If you truly love somebody, you would listen. I think it's kind of a ratio there that the more you love somebody, the more you'd want to listen to them. So listening is really important. Well, let's see what God has to say about listening. As I mentioned, Psalms 119 was, he says, dear brothers, take note of this. Everyone, James says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to make angry.